Thank you so much for joining. And I think you have a lot of really great experiences to share that will resonate with our students. So I'm excited to dig in some more. As a starting point, can you share more about what degree you're pursuing and how you came to choose the program that you're currently in?
Well, I'm pursuing my degree in Bachelor in Science for psychology. It was criminal justice at first, but I changed it. And I came to the conclusion when I started realizing that even though I was interested in law school, I thought it was more focused on the outward appearance. It's always been something to look like, just having that authority. But, I started really just sitting down and realizing, from my classmates, listening to their perspectives and our discussions and everything, and then just sitting back going through some of the classes that was actually in psychology as well. And I was just sitting here, I was like, wait a minute, am I in the right program? So I was like, I thought about going back to my childhood life, really thinking about the things that I've seen myself doing. And so it was always sitting down, trying to be the middle person and trying to help people reconnect, come to, their differences and, finding a way to agree and wanting to really understand the body because, as humans, we go through things in life, trauma, childhood, abandonment, like a lot of things. And so sometimes this can create difficult, I would say, hardship, different obstacles in our lives. And I know one thing that I have always enjoyed doing was learning about humans, our mind, and how we function. Like why do we think and go through some of the things that we go through? And so it's something that I've always wanted to do. It was to help other people. And so I was like, you know what? I think psychology would be the best fit for me because I've always been the type of person to sit down, being able to listen and talk to other people, being the shoulder for them to, kind of express their emotions and share what they've been holding in. Because a lot of people, they find me as a person, like when you're in the closet and it's like you're talking to yourself without, someone coming, being judgmental or criticizing you, is just being that shoulder that you can come and talk to. So that's what really inspired me. And then also Brittany as well, you make sure that we are, how can I put this, that when we are pursuing this goal in the our program is making sure that we are doing something that we really want to do, and not really doing something that doesn't probably like fit or align us, but doing something that like what is it that you actually want to do, like that you feel like can suit you. And I you know and I thought about that as well, and I said that I was like, you know what, I really didn't think this through. And I thought back on what you had said when we first met, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I'm definitely not in the right field right now.
Yeah, before we started our call today, I was also thinking back on that conversation we had, and I was excited for you to share in this, spotlight, just more about your experience and reflecting on that degree alignment, because I think for many folks, it can feel a bit intimidating to reevaluate the degree that they're in. But with that said, there's so many times when it's not until we're in the classroom and engaging with the curriculum and doing the work that we can say, oh, actually, maybe this isn't what I thought it was, or maybe my goals have adjusted, or maybe I'm just looking at this in a different way. And I think it's always nice as well just to be able to chat through it with someone else and say, hey, here's what I'm feeling. What are my options? So I remember how much you had not just drawn on your academic experience in the classroom, but we also talked through just your interests and your values and what you're good at and figured it out from there. So I think that's a really great place to be coming from. Do you mind sharing more about what your goals are with the psychology bachelor's degree and what kind of professional and career plans you have in place with that degree?
So right now, I'm working towards that, and also, I added on the case management certificate as well, is because I want to apply this and to start working towards, like, I want to develop a program, because with the youth and everything, I think that, goes by, our youth really need more motivation and more encouragement. So I want to, create a program or find myself, giving back to the community. Probably working somewhere like somewhere in the school district, like
Mm.
like trying to create a program. Like I know that I'm trying to find ways on trying to establish a program for myself, starting a foundation from there, trying to make sure that I have all the resources and the tools that I need so that I can create a program so that I can reach out to high school, elementary, middle schools, because I think that, that's where one of the most biggest impacts is in school, trying to, learn students, encourage them, kind of focus on helping them transition from elementary to middle to, high school. Because as me, I've gone through things, and with the experience that I've had, I know that I can be able to share and I can be able to read and, and help them succeed. So that's the kind of, the career path that I'm looking forward into. And that's why that's why I wanted the case management certificate as well, kind of learn the backfield on that end, because, stepping into this field is going to require me to have, certain experiences in certain areas.
Absolutely. I appreciate you elaborating. And I think it we'd be amiss not to chat about, as you hold your little guy, in your arms, can you share more about what it's like to manage school alongside all of your other responsibilities, right? Obviously, you're a caretaker, and I know that you have other commitments and responsibilities on your plate outside of school. So I'd love to hear more about what your approach is with managing getting your degree alongside the rest of your life and those other commitments.
Well, so how I usually set it up is normally I try to make sure that I stay ahead of my class, in my classes, making sure that, that when the kids are asleep before they get up, I make sure that I go over all my schoolwork. I try to have it at least finished before the end of the week is up. And so then, like, when my next class comes in, I kind of go ahead and start reading up on that schoolwork as well, because I homeschool my 5-year-old. He's in kindergarten right now. He does online. So our classes, every day with his work and mine. So I try to make sure I stay at least a week ahead on my schoolwork so that I can focus on his schoolwork, because I feel like my classes, with us, we've gone through things. So with the experience that we have, it just, like, the schoolwork, it just clarifies everything back up. Like, it kind of just, like, the things that we have questions for, the things that we probably don't understand, it sums it up. So it's kind of like, it's been a challenging, because sometimes you don't want to get up, but I feel like it's more easier than being on campus, because it allows me to have the opportunity to, do my schoolwork ahead of time. I can pause, I can stop, go back to my son, going over his work and reflecting and seeing where, where he's struggling at. So I think it's been very beneficial.
Absolutely. Well, I commend that just commitment to school. And obviously, I hadn't realized that you were also homeschooling alongside your own enrollment in school. And I think that's really admirable. And it's so wonderful to have a role model of what it looks like to, work towards your own personal, professional, and academic goals, but also be supporting others in your life, whether it's a child, a friend, whatever it may be, and supporting their goals.
Yes,
Um,
yes. And he
and
sometimes, and I like it though, because, with psychology, it helped me become more aware of the body, our mind. It helps me become more aware with even my children. So it opens me up. Since I've been studying psychology, I've been kind of like studying the Bible as well, kind of piecing together everything on learning how it just all connects. So it's been really helpful, like teaching me, because I've struggled with things within myself. So doing psychology, and also homeschooling and my schoolwork and everything, and then the encouragement from you guys it's been very inspiring.
I appreciate that note that you had made as you were reflecting about really just utilizing even small pockets of your available time, right? Because sometimes it is going to
So
entail a gear shift.
no.
I commend you for identifying, even if it's a small pocket of time, before the kids get up, in between assignments, whatever, whatever it may be. I think that that's a really fundamental component is identifying and utilizing, even if it's brief 15 minutes, to take a look at a reading or start brainstorming a paper topic, whatever it may be. So I appreciate you kind of noting that aspect of your success. You were also mentioning just working with Operation Graduate. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear more about what it's been like. You've been with us for about a year now, right?
Yes,
We're about 1 year in.
yeah, no, I think November will make it a year in with you guys. Yes.
Okay, so we're almost there. Can you elaborate and tell us a bit more on what it's been like to work with our team?
It has been awesome. One thing that I can say that I actually, it's a million things that I can say, but I love how, y'all stay on top of everything. Like the emails that I receive, just making sure that I stay up to date on my classes, the encouragers, it's like the motivation, the call-ins to check in to see how see how I'm doing, because we never know what someone is going through that day, and the fact that you guys actually take the time out of your day to call, because I know that y'all have other students that y'all have to take care of as well. But the fact that y'all take the time out of the day to actually, see how we're doing, sending out emails with encouragement, all the resources that y'all give us, I find it very beneficial. I've actually had a great, time, from the time that I've started till now. And y'all have really been standing up to the name of Operation Graduate.
I appreciate that so much on behalf of the whole team. Truly, I really appreciate it. And, our goal, I think, with our communication and just our general rapport and relationship with students is we want students to know, like, we've got the same goal, right?
And
We're working towards the same goal. We want to see you get there. And sometimes academic supports, I think it can feel like maybe you only hear from them when you're missing work or when, there's maybe improvement to be made in a class, which of course we all need that kind of support. But I think on the flip side of that is also having people that are supporting you and saying, hey, great job getting an A in that class. Great job getting on Dean's List, right? It's about acknowledging the celebrations as much as proactively addressing challenges, right? And finding that balance in a support system. So I'm really grateful to hear that's been your experience.
yes, it's definitely been a great experience. And yes, you are definitely correct.
I appreciate it. Well, I'm curious, this will be an opportunity to share your story and your experiences with others. Do you have advice for students who are considering going back to school online and are thinking about revisiting college at this point in their lives?
To be honest with you, I think that if they do, they should. And I think Operation Graduate will definitely make a big impact with that. I think that you guys, the whole team can play a big part into people's lives, because it definitely played a big role into mine, And a lot of people, they want to go back to college, but they just don't, the hesitant of not knowing what to do, not really, understanding their future or what it is that they want to do. And that is something that Operation Graduate does. You make sure that we are succeeding. You're making sure that we are whatever academics that it is that we want to do, that we're choosing it because this is the path that aligns with our dreams. And so I encourage anybody to go back to college, because sometimes we struggle with wanting to go back because of life and everything, and thinking that we can't do it because we have so much going on. But to be honest with you, I'm a mother. I've wore many hats in the household. I'm a mom, a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer when I'm going back and forth with the children about what's right and what's wrong. So if I can do it, I know that anybody else can do it. We just have to stay grounded. We have to, just it's like making sure that you have them affirmations set up. Like I post affirmations on my computer, in my kitchen, when I'm cooking, and I'll look up, if I'm feeling some type of way, I'll look up and I have an affirmation sitting right there to just pull me back in. We struggle, but we have to set ourselves into those positions if we want to succeed. And I think that's a big thing for all of us. But Operation Graduate definitely will make that happen, because like I said, y'all make sure that phone calls, emails, motivation, encouragers. Y'all are always there. And I can definitely, say this, I'm, it's like, some people may sit up and say, oh no, she's probably just saying this. No, I'm saying it because it's actually true. Like this is exactly how I feel, and that's my experience so far.
I appreciate that so much. And I have to say too, I think it's so important to acknowledge that, our support is supplementary, but ultimately, like the students are in the driver's seat and your reflections. I love that component about your affirmations. It's all emphasizing this idea of taking control of where we have agency and using that to keep moving forward. So yeah, Operation Graduate, we're here, we're not going anywhere, we're going to continue supporting our students, but that's paired with the students' drive, the students' framework, and them taking control of what they can control. I'm curious, are there any specific affirmations you find yourself coming back to that are particularly grounding or motivating in challenging times?
Yes, it's so with psychology, and my classwork I've been studying to the side. So my affirmations are like kind of like reminding myself, like I've been really learning so far, I've been learning about our neurotransmitters, the dopamine, the serotonin. So it's kind of reminding myself, like the positive intake, what I put into myself. So the affirmations like, I'm strong, I'm smart, just kind of like every day using those types of words. Like I've literally, like, a lot of people don't even know, like I've actually started like journaling, and this is somewhat of my work that I just felt like that, something that helped.
Oh, I
Yes.
love that.
So my affirmations that I normally set up is like really going back and like, you know, what am I rewarding myself with? So I like put up like the dopamine and the serotonin, up and reminding myself what are some negative and positive experience, like waking up this morning, how do you feel? And expressing, like I may wake up and say, well, I feel sluggish. Well, what can I do to help me bring myself up out of that sluggishness so that I can be prepared? So it's kind of like those type of affirmations, like just being more aware, self-aware, and also being self-aware about the body and the mind. So that's what I've really kind of been doing so far to keep me focused, because I think, a lot of times, because what we speak on a daily basis to ourselves, we start absorbing that. And so being really grounded and educated about the mind and our neurotransmitters, that's something that I felt like was, a very big impact on us.
Yeah, it reminds me of the director of our team, Sarah Benham. She often will remind our team that we're in the business of overcoming fears, right? Of course, we're in the business of supporting students getting their degree and working towards their goals, and that's all fundamental. But so much of what Operation Graduate does is supporting students and helping them reframe the way that they're thinking about their potential, their academic longevity, their careers, and kind of readjusting that inward perception, right? And to overcome those fears and to feel empowered and to feel supported with making the leap to revisit or go to school for the first time, depending. So it's really nice to hear also just how much that psychology degree is really informing life
Yeah,
outside of school, which I
yeah,
would imagine probably feels really nice to know that that is bleeding into your life, not just in an academic way, but also in a personal way.
yes, it really has. Like, I felt like if, criminal justice, it was definitely, interested in everything. But when I stepped to psychology, I was like, oh my gosh, I was so glad that I had wrote you and changed my degree because I was like, man, like it really got me to open my eyes up a lot more about us as humans and having children and everything like that, and just being able to understand people, because a lot of times we may not understand everyone's situation, so psychology really kind of like just breaking it down and giving you the techniques that are beneficial to help people from different backgrounds, and then just taking it, and it's encouraged me to even, in my personal life, going in and wanting to learn more about humans, so that when I do step in my field, I'm more aware of what I'm working with. and being prepared.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate all of those insights and elaborations, Courtney. It's so great to be able to know that your experience and your story will be shared with others, because I really do feel like, especially the program change component, it really is such a helpful model to know. Sometimes we change our degree, but it is almost always for the better, right? Like it always leads us to where our passions and strengths really lay. And sometimes it can be a little intimidating to change a degree. It feels a little scary, but once we're in the right place, it feels so good to be locked in. So thank you for sharing. I think we did touch on like all the questions that we were hoping to chat through, but I do just want to check in if there's anything else that is on your mind that we didn't get to chat about as you think about school and Operation Graduate.
Other than that, I think that I've done the same thing. I think I've said everything that, right now on, expressing on how I feel about Operation Graduate, with school and everything, and with my personal life, and encouraging anybody who, wants to go back but is having a hard time. One thing that I can say is that if somebody is looking towards going back to school, I think Operation Graduate would definitely be a good, program for them to get into, because, the motivation, the leadership and the communication that you all guys give as teamwork with each other and with us is awesome. And it could be a benefit for other people.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're a small but mighty team. We often say we work very closely, and are very grateful for all the students we get to connect to. So thank you so much for hopping in the spotlight today, chatting through these questions. I have no doubt it'll really resonate with current and future students. So appreciate you very much.
Thank you for having me.